Welcome, we're about to start the show on the Big Boss Show. Guess who's here?
Hi, Dave. Hi, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I need to give an introduction for this man before I introduce him. My guest today can be described in many ways. One of the greatest batsmen of all time, holder of many records in Test and ODI cricket, the first non-British president of the MCC, the youngest person, the first active international player to deliver the MCC Spirit of Cricket County Lecture in 2011. Successful entrepreneur, devoted husband, a loving father, a legend, an icon. I had the pleasure of introducing to you Mr. Kumar Sangakkara. Good morning, Sangha.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Pretty good, actually.
Okay. First things first, you just came out from Pakistan. And this has been, we all remember the 2009 incident. So a decade later, you go back. How did it feel, Sangha?
I felt great. I think it was always a case of, when will I go back? And the timing had to be right. So there were many opportunities to go back just before. But I think this one was also, coupled with a great cause, which was to support international cricket going back to Pakistan. And we've been talking about it at the World Cricket Committee for about 3 years now. But the Pakistan Cricket Board, with the support of the government, and a gentleman by the name of Wasim Khan came and presented to us last year a complete security plan plus a complete schedule of games. And once that was discussed, approved, it was very easy to get the tour on over the line. And a lot of the county players that came, a couple of internationals, it was thrilling to go back. The reception, the hospitality, the cricket, the people, they were outstanding. The security arrangements were absolutely brilliant. So I think personally for me, it was like coming full circle after what happened in 2009. And it was to send a strong message out to the international cricket community to actually consider Pakistan as a country to now start touring again. Security is always going to be paramount and highly important. So those discussions will be had with the governments and with the relevant boards, but we were in Lahore, and the people have such a passion. MCC touring, we played a PSL side called the Lahore Qalandars in the first game. There were 19,000 people at the Gaddafi Stadium to watch us play. So, they've missed international cricket for so long. The passion is at an all-time high. They haven't seen a lot of their own players play in front of home crowds for many years, and they haven't seen other international sides come. So I think it's time now to change that and really and truly bring Pakistan cricket in Pakistan back into the international fold.
Yeah, it was a successful tour, and the MCC team won the game, no?
We won where we lost 2 and won 2. So it's always nice. We always say, it's a great, we tour with a great purpose, and results don't count, but we're always very competitive.
I saw
it doesn't matter. So
I catch a glimpse of it on YouTube. I saw it. It's still competitive. Now, I don't want to start too grimly about the 2009 incident, but what you actually said was, you said the Lahore attack taught you a lot about your character and values. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think whenever you kind of go through something that's startling or something that, that makes you think or rethink, you're always left with, emotions and change perceptions, hopefully, and maybe some new ideas as to, what happens next. The Lahore incident, when it happened, it didn't alter my, kind of sense of purpose or my perception of life, dramatically. But what it did was it really grounded me, made me realize that, that no one really is above reality, and, what other people go through on a daily basis, not just in Sri Lanka at that time, but all across the world. And just because you were a sportsman, a cricketer of international repute or no, doesn't really insulate you from those. It also kind of humbles you to understand that, the privilege that you have, the responsibilities that you have, and all of that could go in an instant. And also about getting back to playing cricket and getting on with normal life beyond and after that incident. You really need to organize yourself, get your emotions in check, get your thoughts in order, and then really buckle down to coming back to reality, really, and living real life. You also tend to look at other people who've been through the incident, people who lost their lives, with kind of a new eye. So I think, you know, it's sometimes, you know, a little bit disheartening to think that, okay, you've got to go through something that drastic maybe sometimes to self-evaluate or reevaluate your values, your character, your ideas, perceptions, all of that. That's always been the case. We take things for granted. We love to be in a comfort zone. So I think as a person, it just, I mean, I always recount the incident where, you know, I met this security personnel at a checkpoint a month after, I think I was driving in Colombo, and then he said, you know, he was so upset when this happened to you because, you know, these things shouldn't happen to you. You know, in my job, I've committed to facing this every day, but you guys are heroes. And I was like thinking, well, actually, it's the reverse. It's the opposite. Actually, you guys are the heroes. We just, you know, we grabbed the publicity because we were involved in something for a few minutes. So that kind of, you know, brings you, you know, back to real life with a thump. So I think it was great that, you know, we all managed to get back. It was terrible that a lot of the security personnel died. I met the bus driver, Khalil, again.
When you went back for
when I went back to Lahore, he was there with his son. He was fine. He was still driving.
Okay.
And we had a brief chat. I couldn't catch up with him for too long because of all the security measures that were there. But it was lovely to kind of, you know, reestablish those relationships, you know, have those conversations. And this is something you should never, I think, shy away from talking, because it's been a part of your life. It's happened.
True.
It's real. And I've had no hang-ups, you know, talking about it, you know. And sometimes, you know, you look at certain parts of it with a sense of humor as well.
I remember one comment you made, I think. I don't know whether this was exactly at the bus itself. A player who came on his first tour, and you were like,
actually, those were real thoughts. You know, you don't really, you know, I never had that experience of, you know, your entire life flashing before your eyes. It was just, you know, kind of all these, you know, thoughts, real thoughts, you know, like random thoughts that just suddenly spring into your mind, you know, amid the chaos and all that's happening. So it was kind of an interesting insight into how your mind works as well.
Hats off to the security personnel and the driver, because we were told that the driver was the main reason he somehow kept driving even though we were under attack.
Yeah, it was strange because I think Dilshan and Lal Tamil was masseuse. They were in the front of the bus and they were telling the driver to drive, and I think the bus was in neutral, or the tires had been shot out, I think, and he was trying to accelerate through and the bus wasn't moving. So
because it was in neutral.
Yeah, and I mean, you always do panic, and it took him a while to understand, okay, it's in neutral. Or it's in park. I'm not sure whether it is an automatic transmission, but also there were a couple of vehicles that the attackers used that were blocking the way. So once he realized it, he was just straight into the ground, which was not too far away. We didn't really use the same route this time when we went to Lahore.
Okay.
But you know, the Liberty Roundabout, you know, that'll have quite a lot of significance in terms of all the people who went through that at that spot.
Okay. Thanks, Kumar, for sharing that. Thoughts and prayers to all the families who lost their lives on that particular tragic incident, and our love to everyone who kept our Sri Lankan cricket team safe and the public there as well. Well, this show, Sangha, this is basically a deep dive into you. It's not just about cricket. So, and I did do my research. You were born in 1977 to Swarna Kumara Sangakkara, an attorney at law, and Kumari Surangana, your mother, of course. You have a brother and two sisters. I've heard that your family is a very sporting family. Tell us about what it was like growing up as a Sangakkara.
It was. I don't think it was much different from other families. Four of us with different age gaps. The eldest is Tushari. She's 6 years older than me. My brother is 4 years, and Saranga is about 1.5 years older than I am. You know, we had very liberal parents with quite liberal thinking, so they allowed us a lot of freedom to. They encouraged us to try a lot of sport, read a lot of different things. Would drag us to the theatre, both on stage and the cinema.
Wow. Okay. A lot of exposure to the arts and sports.
Yeah, there was from a young age. Not that we really. You know, really happy about it, but I think we had no choice at that time with my parents, so I think it was great growing up in that environment. You appreciate it much later not at that time. But I think when it came to sport, it was a case of, my mother was always, no, you got to study, you got to, get through exams. And my father was like, yeah, but at the same time, they got to do also this constant tug of war. And I don't think I've ever sat for a promotional exam until grade 4 or 5. I think I was playing tennis, badminton, table tennis, swimming, and doing all kinds of things, which is great, And Trinity was a great school to go to because you had so many great facilities.
That's right, yeah.
They really encourage you to try and be an all-rounder without settling in just on, academic work or sport. Every one of us played sport.
Yeah, I actually had to make a special mention. Saranga won the national tennis title at the age of 15.
Yeah, she was only 15.
She was supposed to be the sports star of the family.
Yeah, well, she was. We both started tennis together under Mr. D.H. De Silva. And, that was, I forget when, Uncle D.H., as we used to call him, he passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago in Australia, in Melbourne. But the reason why he left Melbourne was he was the municipality commissioner in Kandy, and he was a great man. He earned a very small salary, but out of that, he would finance his passion for sport, which was in the form of coaching kids free of charge every day and on weekends in tennis and cricket.
Oh, wow.
He would also pay for floodlit tennis at the Kandy Garden Club. He's an amazing man who had also, with his children, national champions in tennis and table tennis. But he was shot on the tennis court by the JVP at that time, and he survived. And then he emigrated to Melbourne, and he only came back when I invited him back to watch some cricket in 2010-11.
Oh wow, that long he had to stay away from the country.
It took him a long time emotionally, I think, to come to terms with coming back. It was very, I think it was a huge blow for him to understand he was doing such an amazing service to the children of Kandy. And for that to happen to him over, his job description as, the commissioner of the municipality was I think, heartbreaking to him. So my sister, we were very lucky to have people like that at a young age who influenced us in sport. So my sister really continued with the tennis. I played tennis when I was about 15, but she's the one who really forged ahead, won the nationals.
She was the number one player as well in Sri Lanka, no?
Number one player since she was 15.
Wow.
She played number one singles for her university in the US. She went to Brown. And my older sister played basketball and tennis as well. My brother played excellent cricket and very good badminton. He was an off-spinner,
wasn't he?
He was an off-spinner, yes, but he was always, when he saw my father coaching me and putting me up at about 6 in the morning for coaching, he said, well, that's not really for me. I don't want to play cricket after I leave school, so leave me out of this coaching. So it's a great upbringing, and I think it's really stood us in good stead.
Yeah, you did mention that Trinity had a lot of these facilities where they focus not just in education but also sports. Now, for a boy, it's very important. Parents is one thing, then the school. It has a big impact on the development of our character. So what impact did Trinity College mean to you? And if I would ask you, what does it mean to be a Trinitian? How would you answer that question?
Well, I think number one, Trinity really doesn't define you. I think it's the opposite way. I think if the fact that Trinity is such a great institution is due to the people that's gone through it, and the teachers and the staff that still remain there, and the influence that then they and the traditions and the history have on you. And the real thing about being a Trinitian is about living a life that actually speaks for itself in terms of
Sure.
where you come from and what school you've been to, your values and all of that. So sometimes I always have a problem sometimes with saying, oh, I'm a Trinitian, just for the sake of saying that.
Okay.
But it was an absolutely wonderful school. The staff would stay for years and years and years. The minor staff, the kitchen staff, they've been there for 30, 40 years.
Wow. Okay.
We have the groundsman at Asgiria, the cricket ground. The grandfather and both his children were groundsmen. There was Martenis, Vikrampal, and Nimal. And then Nimal's son went to Trinity. So then he became an excellent cricketer. So that was the kind of effect Trinity had And I remember when there was this issue with one of the children being slandered and discriminated against because he was supposedly infected with HIV. Trinity was the first school to step up and say, I think, well, you know,
hats off to the school.
You know,
that's amazing.
Come to Trinity. And that's how you can explain Trinity. It's a place for everyone. It didn't matter whether it was a Christian missionary school, but you know, it didn't matter what religion you were. You had a place there. Didn't matter, you know, whether you were conversant in English or not. You had a place there. Ethnicities didn't matter at all. So it was a great school to go to because it really was a level playing field for everyone. Even though it's in my view the best school there is in Sri Lanka because of that grounding you get, because of that overall development ethos that they have there. And it's a private school, but still it's got an amazing philosophy, and it's been true to itself for you know, all its history. We're having 150-year celebrations quite soon. There's a huge drive to redevelop the school, renovate a lot of the old buildings, especially the boarding houses. So it's an exciting time for Trinity. But when I was there, those are the things I remember, you know, being. So when I always talk about Trinity, I talk about Trinity with a lot of love, not just because it's Trinity, but because of the people. You know, sometimes history and tradition, I always say, can restrict you and narrow down your views and perception. But Trinity worked the other way. It really empowered you. So if anyone's out there and you're thinking twice about, oh, should I really, you know, go down the route, put your child into Trinity.
You know, the way you put it across, I think, would it be right to say that those are certain things that Colombo schools need to learn from?
No, I think every school is different. You know, you always have this, you know, rivalries between schools. You know, you always want to think that your school is the best. But I think every school can learn from each other. You know, and we've got a lot of shared history. Every school, it doesn't matter whether it's a government school or a private school. At the end of the day, what really matters is the product.
That's right.
How you come out of the school and then how you live your life. It doesn't matter really. And in the modern world, this whole thing about, you know, he's a good guy because he went to the right school. It's absolutely irrelevant. He's a good guy because he's a good guy, or she's a lovely person because she's a lovely person.
True.
You know, it's not about just the school you went to. The influence of the school, your home, all of that has huge impact on your life. But you can find that in all the schools in Sri Lanka. And the greatest achievers in this country doesn't always come from the so-called, you know, the labeled private schools, elite schools, or whatever they say. They come from everywhere in Sri Lanka, and that should be the view. You know, if you make the right use of the facilities that you have, and you look at life in a very positive way, with you know, the right values as a foundation, you can do well irrespective of which school you go to. So I think those kind of narrow views have to change, and that's, I think, is the future that, you know, hopefully, you know, my kids and everyone will change those perceptions.
But you know, one thing they say about schools, see, when we get out of school, you always are proud that, you know, Tommy and Royal is Trinitian. But when you get to the point where the school is proud of you, that's when you've really reached the pinnacle. I think with you, you know, Trinity College needs to be proud from producing a product like this. Now, you start training for cricket at the age of 13. Now, Jayasundara sir, once in a practice session, says, who wants to be the wicket keeper? Little Kumar raises his hand and says, okay, I want to be a wicket keeper. Now, wicket keeper in cricket is not the easiest job. It's the hardest. Why did you raise your hand at that time?
Because that was the only way I could play in that 11. There was no one who was volunteering to.
Was it because you wanted to cement your position?
No, I just wanted to play a game. So, you know, keep wickets. So that was probably why my wicket keeping, until I really worked hard at international level, was not really great. So I played a lot as a fielder and then switched to keeping. And I did both for a long time.
You also bowled also for a while.
Terribly. I don't think you can call it bowling, but attempted to bowl is a better word. But it was interesting. You know, Upananda Jayasundara, he was, you know, one of my first coaches, and he was from Dharmaraja. And
Dharmaraja College here in Colombo?
no, in Dharmaraj in Kandy,
yes,
and my
Kandy,
house was
Kandy
below that
Dharmaraj.
school. So he would come and coach me, and then he became the under-13 coach at Trinity. And then, when I started at that age, so that's how I really kind of got into wicket keeping.
Okay. We are going to be touching on Mrs. Sunil Fernando later. Now, see, you credit a lot of coaches, Jayasundar sir, Mrs. Sunil Fernando, but you give special credit to your dad because you say he's the one who's been there from the beginning. Now, I also found out most of the time in training, you're not practicing. Most of the time, you're arguing with him. Tell us his experience of your dad coaching you.
Yeah, it's not something I recommend to anyone. I had no choice. He was self-appointed as my coach and my sister's coach in tennis. He played cricket. He was a very good athlete. He was a very good hockey player. He played cricket at, I think, a second 11 and a brief first 11 spell at St. Anthony's in Kandy. But he had this ability to formulate theories on coaching from his experience, but mostly through reading. So, and he was a very technical person. So cricket was not just about batting and fielding and bowling and the technique of cricket, but he also had this whole idea on biomechanics at that time.
Wow, really? So you were training in the 80s, weren't you?
Yeah. So I was 77. So early 90s. Was when I was quite serious in cricket, and he had this book on the Alexandra technique and all this, and I still remember those. He would take notes down on all of that, and then try and apply that to cricket, to tennis, to any sport. So he was quite extremely progressive and forward thinking at that time from a Sri Lankan perspective on sport. So a lot about the angles of your wrists, your back lift, the larger muscles moving first and consolidating.
Wow, this is
all
technical
of this,
to the extreme.
To the extreme. So you can understand why for a kid who's 13, 14, it's a nightmare.
You hated it.
It's an absolute nightmare. And all these books that he'd take notes down on how I played, and it was never about the score for him. Right? He didn't care whether I scored 10 or 100 or 200. It didn't matter.
Right way.
As long as I batted and my technique was good, he was happy. But he had a pile of books about 4 feet high, little exercise books that he used to take notes on, how I got out why and his theory on why and all of this.
Wow.
So you can understand why in a practice session. And he was ruthless in training because he said this is how you get better. So
So this is why you ended up arguing with him most of the time.
Absolutely. No kid wants to train
Sure.
get a ball thrown at him for 4 hours on a Saturday morning and a Sunday morning and then Monday after training and all of this and then do shadow batting. But again, like you said, Mark, I think it was Mark Twain who said, when I was 16, my old man was embarrassing. He was an old fool. And then at 21, I was amazed at how much my father had learned in 5 years. So
True.
you kind of tend to experience or appreciate the influence. You do that much later.
Us boys learn the value of our fathers and what they taught us as we grow older. When they teach it, we don't really understand. We kind of rebel. Now, coming into education, now we'll get into the international cricket after the break. But you, at one point, thought cricket wasn't your thing. Started your law degree, but then you still continued your cricket training. Then you had to make
actually, it's just you understand how unpredictable life can be, and opportunities when they come in the strangest way. So when I qualified to enter university, I was the only one who was not really certain of what I wanted to do. So my father said, "Why don't you do law?" I said, "Okay."
He was a lawyer, so the obvious choice, no?
My siblings all refused, so I was the only one left. So I came to Colombo to read law, but then because of the university closures due to the civil unrest with the JVP, they had a huge backlog. So I had to wait 2 years before I started. And then when I started, I used those 2 years to find a part-time job at informatics on Valukaram Road under Mr. Gamini Vikramasinghe, and then played cricket for them. And then joined NCC by accident. When I was walking past the NCC gate to join CCC when...
Oh, really? That's why you joined NCC?
Mr. Asoka De Silva was an international umpire, saw me and said, "Why don't you come and play here? It's a much better environment for you." And I said, "Okay, fine." I had no idea. And that's how I started playing at NCC. And then I never had a permanent place in the first side because there was some amazing cricketers at NCC. Asela Patirana, Anil Ridigam, together, Charinda Fernando, Sanjeev Jayaratta. They were all this incredible sound. Sanjeev could have played for Sri Lanka, hands down. He was one of the best all-rounders I've ever seen.
Wow.
But, everyone takes different paths and, opportunities are different to everyone. I still keep in touch when I can with them. But, so I was one of the lesser talented cricketers or able cricketers because once we were all in the dressing room and everyone was talking about what they want to do, play for Sri Lanka as, whether it's a batsman or round a bowler. And they said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to play for Sri Lanka. And they were like, yeah, really? As what? I said, as a batsman. And they all laughed because I wasn't, really good at that time. And then I suddenly had a great season when I was about 21, I think. And then after Sri Lanka in 1999 as defending champions under Arjuna couldn't get past the first round in the World Cup in England. The selectors were looking for newer, younger players, and so I was into the A side, and and then suddenly I found myself in the first side. So after a couple of years or so, I had to make a choice between what I wanted to do because of the restrictions that the universities had on attending lectures and so on. So then I picked cricket, and I think that was the right choice.
Absolutely, but the question that I have is, you had that success in cricket, you made money, fame, all of that, achievements, everything. But then you went back and finished your studies.
No, I did not. No,
you did your master's in law.
No, I did not. No. I'm still a half-baked.
Really?
Yeah, university dropout. So that's what I am still.
Well, Bill Gates still hasn't finished his degree, so it's okay. It's all right. Well, we're going to take a small break. When we are back, we're going to talk about the most important thing that you all are asking me for. I've been asking a lot of questions from friends, from fans. What kind of questions am I supposed to ask? So I got some ideas. This is going to be a lot about cricket from now on. We're going to take a break, and this is another song that Sangha picked up. Tell me why Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People. Is there a reason, or is it some other song?
I just like that song. It's one of the few songs that my kids will listen to with me.
Okay.
So it's always nice to have at least one song in common.
So you haven't introduced them to the Rolling Stones? I know you're a big
I tried. I've been introduced them to Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, to Pink Floyd, and they were great. They were singing Comfortably Numb word for word when they were about 6 years old, and then I lost them. I lost them to this new wave of music I don't
What
understand.
do they listen to now?
They listen to artists that I don't even want to talk about. So,
trash.
Yeah, in my view, according to them, that's real music.
Super. All right, so we're going to go for a break, a song, and then we're going to be back with Sangha talking about cricket. Your time is 9:30. Well, that was Foster the People, Pumped Up Kicks, of course, a song that Kumar sings along to with his children. And boy, Kumar, you need to do something about their music taste. Hopefully they'll grow older and appreciate the older music.
Yeah, true. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Welcome back to the Big Boss Show. We are tuned into the legend himself, Mr. Kumar Sangakkara. We talked about his beginnings, his coaches, the impact that Trinity College had. I know a lot of Trinitians out there listening out there as well. You got to be proud of their souls, man. Kumar comes from Trinity. Well, getting into cricket now. Wicket keeping. It's not exactly something that you excelled in the beginning of your career. You eventually had to kind of always had to evolve technique. But I read that you cite Mr. Ian Healy, former Australian cricketer, as a main inspiration as he helped you in a lot in your game. How important was his involvement?
Yeah, I mean, extremely important. I remember when I was keeping at under 19 level, I wasn't that great against spin. So there was another cricketer called Ramesh Dunavilla who was batting number 3. And he used to throw a lot of balls at me because, everyone wanted to win games and not have their keeper miss a lot. So I think he took it upon himself to try and help me become a better keeper. And then when I progressed into the national side, Romesh Kalwitarna, he helped me a lot with my keeping and how to understand and keep. NCC, I did a bit of work, but it is 2 people. Shane Duff from Australia who joined us as a assistant coach trainer.
Little known Mr. Duff is.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He was absolutely fantastic to work with, and he was a wicket keeper himself, and he had great progressive ideas about wicket keeping that was slightly different to the coaching methods we had in Sri Lanka at the time. And Ian Healy and it just went to show that you don't have to be what they call a natural born wicketkeeper. You can actually, it's a skill you can learn and really become very good at with the right training. And you've got to have a right attitude to it, because it's the most boring thing to practice, because the same things over and over and over again, repetition, rhythm, consistency, all of that. So Ian Healy, when I was in Zimbabwe and we were having a chat about wicket keeping, he said, "Oh, if you're free over the next few days, tell me when you're training. I'll come in and I'll work with you." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah, sure." I thought he was just being nice. Okay. But then I said, "Yeah, okay, we're training tomorrow. Come." And then he just turned up and he started working with me. Half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour each practice session. And he really spoke to me. The first time I really understood how simple the training methods and the philosophy and the technical aspects of wicket keeping, how it was explained to me in a very simple manner that I could really understand and take in. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is what how you do it. So then I started practicing on that foundation and really changing my practice, challenging myself every day at training. And then when Shane Duff came on, we had a conversation, and then he started working with me continuously. And every time we trained, I'd bat, I'd get my throwdowns, then go do my wicket keeping. And the wicket keeping session for an hour was like a fitness session, because you really challenge yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's all about foot movement, body position, none of this crazy athletic diving stuff, but just really strong movements in keeping. And it was great. There's a lot of repetition, so kept me fit as well. So those two people, Ian Healy and Shane Duff, were absolutely instrumental in getting my keeping to an acceptable standard at international level. So I still talk about them with a lot of respect and love. Duffy still keeps in touch. So does Heels when I go to Australia. But
really?
Yeah. So there were different. I mean, Trevor Penny, he's here with the West Indies now. He's always labelled as a fielding coach for some reason, but Trevor Penny was one of the best batting coaches I've ever had, because he just talked batting from a practical point of view, not just a technical point of view, and he'd bring all these ideas about how to play a sweep or a reverse sweep or a paddle sweep or a six or a particular shot in a really practical manner. So those are the things that are important in coaching, I think, the breaking down technique, so that people can understand it and then use it in their own game. So Trevor Penny, my batting improved so much under Trevor Penny. Paul Farbres, Trevor Bayliss, they were all people who were really practical about cricket. So it was great to have that influence.
Mm-hmm. Now, another thing, another highlight of your career, something that everyone talks about, is your partnership / bromance with Mahela. Okay, now he was your partner in cricket. Now he's also a partner in your business. But in one interview, you said that partnership was quite accidental. Is that true?
Yeah, but because Mahela played for Sri Lanka about 2.5 years before I did, and he was, I think, when I joined the team, he was named the vice captain.
Oh. Wow.
So he was already a very senior player in the side, and I was just this. Even though we were the same age, although on record Mahela is older than me.
He's a good guy.
I have to say that. But so, Sri Lankan cricket is built on a very hierarchical system in the old days. I would say pre 2000, it was all about the seniors told you what to do, you did it.
Right.
And they had the most amount of control over a side and how the side went, the philosophy, all of that. But I think Mahela, being this young kid, at that time a brilliant cricketer, already with a big international reputation, getting into the vice captains, it really helped to change those ideas around and really kind of bring the individual, no matter old or young or senior or junior, into a place of value, where ideas, individuality, all of that was valued above just seniority, and it was all about performance. But then when I got into the side, there were only a few guys who were like, of our age. So we all kind of gravitated towards each other, and then, we'd hang out a little bit more, go out for dinner a bit more than the others. So that's how that kind of started. I mean, I played against Mahela in age group cricket, but he was not a regular cricketer in the age group levels, because he was always playing a few levels above, A side, national side, all of that, when we were playing, under 17 and under 19. So,
right.
So that's how that started, and we found out that we had a lot of ideas in common and thinking about cricket in common, and that's how we kind of forged that friendship.
Okay, but the highlight of your batting partnership was that 624 run one. But what was the magic like being on the field? Because was it the understanding, or did you kind of were able to read yourselves better? What was the magic behind your on-field partnership?
Yeah, we had a lot of things in common. About a lot of the things we thought about cricket. We had ideas for what the side should look like, strategy, tactics, all of these things. We were quite aligned. Not that we agreed on everything. Even the things we agreed on, we used to always argue about, and then settle on something. And that was the best part, because you could really just have a massive argument, but still come to an agreement at the end of it, because you're all trying to find this or find a way to the same result. You might have different ways of doing it, but then you settle on one and everyone backs that. That's how we kind of forged the thinking of the dressing room culture in our cricket. So it was a case of getting to that point, and a lot of the time we understood each other really well. We might not have agreed on every little thing or every big thing at times, but the point was that we always came to a decision, and we always backed that decision once that was made, and that was the most important point. And batting with him was extremely easy, and it was not, because he's always about taking the advantage and dominating the bowling attack. So when you bat with him, you kind of understand, okay, you need to be the aggressor now, and then he takes a little bit of the pressure, absorbs the pressure, then you change that role, and then you keep going, accelerate, decelerate, and you talk about all of these, which bowler you try and attack a bit more. So it was really, it was nice that you kind of feed off each other in terms of putting pressure back on the bowling side, and that really worked for a lot of our partnerships. It's the same with a lot of other players. When you bat with someone, you really have that kind of understanding with. Right. It becomes a lot easier. And tactically and with strategy, Mahela was brilliant as a batsman, as a player, as a captain. So it was very easy to kind of align yourself with that kind of thinking.
Now that kind of partnership and understanding went on to the business side of things too. Did it get easier dealing with him? No arguments. So how does that work?
No, it's still the same.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, everyone's very competitive. That competitive streak doesn't go out of you. But like I said, the important thing is to agree on things and to have that understanding right throughout. And when you do get into business with close friends, whatever happens to the business, you've got to really walk away as friends or stay in it as friends.
That's the rule. That's the risk that we take.
And that's been our kind of philosophy. You don't try and let it get in the way. Everyone's busy right now. He's in India getting ready for the IPL. He coaches now. He travels the world more than when he was playing.
Wow.
I travel a lot too, but I try and spend a lot more time at home. But
retirement isn't exactly retirement.
No, unfortunately not. But we still manage to catch up every Tuesday of the week. We talk about what we're doing and how we do it and all of that. So it's still nice to have all of those connections, with the players that we played and the friends that we made.
We will be talking about your business ventures in a bit. Something I observed, but. A highlight for me is that speech you did at the MCC. Very, very unconventional. That platform was very different. They don't really talk about the things that you spoke about. It was very brave and very courageous of you for that speech. And it was an iconic thing. Sri Lankan and all that coming in. What was the inspiration behind that speech, Saga?
Well, I was invited to deliver the lecture by Christopher Martin Jenkins. He's passed away. He was the president of the MCC at the time and a journalist. He was a great man. And when he first approached me, I refused. I said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to be on a tour at that time, and it's going to be really difficult for me." And it was in my mind, it was a lecture. It was quite an important one, but it's not really well. So many people. It has to be good. You've got to be prepared, and it's going to be too much while playing. While being on the English tour. So I refused. Then he called me back a couple of weeks later, and then said, "No, you have to do it. This is And so I kind of. And then without really, once I was, oh, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then I kept the phone down. Not that I said, oh, fine, I'll do it. I said, yeah, it'll be a great privilege and an honor to do it. But I kind of said, Mr. President, it's a lot of work. I can't assure you of what. He said, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. I was like, oh, okay, fine, okay. I said, okay, I'll do it. And inside I was thinking, what did I just say? Why did I say yes?
Well, then you would have been very nervous prior to the speech, were you?
Absolutely, because I finished the last paragraph, the ending to that, about half an hour before I left the hotel to deliver it. So it was still a work in progress till the last minute. I spoke to my father, spoke to Charlie Austin, and they all kind of, my father gave me a little bit of background and history to Sri Lankan cricket. Charlie was instrumental in putting all my ideas and thoughts in order and structuring the lecture. So I had a bit of help from those two. So I would sit with Charlie and just basically talk, and he'd take down notes, all of it, and then he'd send me that typed up. Then I would rearrange all those thoughts in a logical order, then put something in that I missed or something like that, and then I would send it back to Charlie, who would then put it into the structure as we talked about it. So, which idea goes where, what's the order. So we used to discuss this whole thing, and this was all while I was playing cricket. So it was quite an interesting challenge. And then so it was basically that, just talking about everything I remembered, everything that I experienced, my own thoughts, ideas, values, all of those things. I just sat down and I just spoke about them, and then put them down on paper. Charlie did that. My father sent me a little bit of information, this, that, and the other. But it still doesn't, you go to, and CMJ, as we call him, Christopher Martin Jenkins, he was asking, when do we get a copy of this? I said, oh, yeah, this isn't finished yet. So I sent him a draft of this speech, like I said, half an hour before I left.
Oh, wow.
Because he was like, are you sure? We just want to have a look at it to see, because they've got to make sure that there's...
They look at it prior, just to see if everything is okay?
Yeah, they can't censor it or, do it, but they just want to be prepared if there's any fallout.
Okay.
So just to deal with it. I mean, it was terrible how to say, okay, it is how to try and manage those situations. But, so I sent him I sent him the draft, and so the spirit of cricket lecture is a platform, basically, and so I didn't want to make it a technical speech about cricket, because that didn't interest me, and I just wanted to talk about a Sri Lankan's perspective on cricket and growing up with cricket and life with cricket and what it meant for us, during the time I played it.
And you gave them warning too. When you started the speech, it's not going to be about that.
Yes,
this is going to be very unconventional.
Yes, I kind of, and then it's intimidating. You stand there at the lectern, and there's 700 people maybe in that hall on the nursery ground
So these are not just any 700 people.
in the marquee. Yeah, they're all cricket mad. All of them who come there, they're all from different age groups, but who love cricket. They're proud members of MCC. Some are guests, and they've the tickets go really quickly for the Cowdrey lecture. So it was quite. It's quite a daunting task, and it's a big responsibility for the president of MCC, because that's his invitation. He picks the person to deliver the lecture. So I remember walking into the marquee with Christopher Martin Jenkins, and he was like, "Oh, it's an interesting lecture." That's all he said. He didn't say anything more. It's an interesting one. I said, "Oh, did you read it?" He said, "Yes, I read it." I said, "I'm sorry, it's very long," because I didn't time. So it's. I think an ideal lecture is about 25 minutes. I think that's before the audience goes to sleep, unless it's interesting. So I was thinking when the whole thing came back at that amount of words, and I was talking to Charlie, how long is this thing going to be? I was afraid that I might get bored myself to going through this. So he said, "Well, it's a bit long, but it's let's see how it goes." And Charlie is very kind of. He's never too expressive when it comes to saying something. He'll always say, or he'll never say. If he says good, it means, yeah, it's good. So he said, it'll be an interesting lecture. So it's a good lecture. I said, okay, cool. So that's how I went, and so it turned out okay.
But the thing is, it turned out okay because one, you got a standing ovation, and right after that, the British media and the papers, they said they did not realize that the lecture was that long. because they were captivated by how good you were well spoken and the points you were talking.
yeah.
This was in the British media.
I might have spied a couple of the older members falling asleep, dozing off. But
Well, the British media was very kind, and it was a very inspirational speech, Sangha. We can't take that away from you. And the way you ended it also very inspirational for us Sri Lankans. Now coming back into your relationship with Mahela, now business ventures. I was studying on some of the establishments which are involved in. You have plenty. Ministry of Crab everywhere around the world. Crystal Sands Apartments, Next Innings Lounge, UCAP Taxi Service, Ceylon Coconut Company, etc., 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 and etc. But something quite distinctive I've noticed is there's always a personal value connected to this. For example, I'll give you for our listeners out there. With your Ceylon Coconut Company, your bio on that page says, your family only used coconut oil in cooking. Despite the vilification of coconut oil in the 80s, your family held on to the belief that nothing is healthier. That's why it felt right for you to involve in the coconut business. Now, I looked at all your other ventures as well. Pretty similar. Some kind of personal value. Is that what you would go for?
Yeah, and you also, and I've been lucky that you find people with those kinds of, ideas as well. In the Ceylon Coconut Company, Gihan and Chamila and Avanti was there when he started. They were all, friends who started a business that they all had a family connection or a history with.
Okay.
And it's very true. My parents, my father and my mother, they were like, it used to be that coconut oil was terrible for you. And my father and my mother would say that is absolutely nonsense. This is what we grew up on, and this is what we're using at home. So and every morning, and there was always a pulse and ball on the table every morning, and I still absolutely love it. It's like you said, it was vilified. Said, "Oh, this is the worst."
Yeah, what was the reason in the 80s?
Well, it was about high cholesterol. It's terrible for you. But there was this one doctor I remember who used to write, I believe, in the Daily News. I think he wrote, was it Dr. Atikora? I can't remember. He would write every week, I think, or once a month. I can't remember. But I still remember my parents always reading that and quoting it about the benefits of coconut oil. And he was a passionate supporter of it. So that's my connection with coconut oil, and and now the newer virgin coconut oil, the health benefits of it. It's become a superfood across the world. It always seems to have come full circle. So that's how I got involved. I mean, you talk about the Ministry of Crab, the pol sambal recipe there is our family recipe. I can't say it's a family recipe. It's what I grew up on. It's a way we made it.
I saw on Instagram where you have a picture. I think you shared it with the Columba in Soho in London.
In London on Kingley Street with Iro and Aushi, who are extremely passionate about Sri Lankan food, and they've started Columba, and brilliant little restaurant on Kingley Street, doing extremely well, serving home cooked recipes in London, home cooked Sri Lankan recipes in London. So I shared that with them, and then they wanted me to do a little Instagram post on me actually making it. So I did that. Yeah.
So did you actually make that?
I actually made the whole thing. They didn't.
So does that mean you can cook well?
Well, I don't know if I can cook well. I just say that I can cook. But I do make a mean pol sambal. That's true.
Now, now there's the thing. A lot of these Sri Lankans who go abroad, they start restaurants and they get very successful. But then they do this one crime that I feel that I can't agree with. They take that Sri Lankan food and they go and make it Western, so that it suits the Western palate.
Well, I think that's changed a lot, and there are some.
Because the white people can't handle our spice, apparently.
Well, actually, that's not true now. I think they demand the spice. I think Columba, by the feedback I get from Iro and Aushi, it's that they actually want the spice levels up. They want authenticity now. You've got to be true to the food that you cook. You can change it up if that's your philosophy and you do it very well. But there are some amazing chefs around the world from Sri Lanka who've done exceptionally well. There's Larry Jayasekara, who consults with Iro and Aushi in London, the first Sri Lankan chef to get a Michelin star. Then there's Rishi Nalindra in Singapore with Cheek by Jowl and now Cloud Street, who's got a Michelin star. They're amazing, amazing chefs. They've got our own Darshan Munidasa here in Sri Lanka, who goes around the world. Then there was this MasterChef competitors, around the world from Sri Lanka who have got to various stages. I think there's Malin who is or who was with Columba in London, who was a contestant on the show. A lot of great home cooks, but a lot of the time cooking evolves, right? I mean, some of these chefs have spent years and years away from Sri Lanka. They have those roots. They have authentic ingredients.
But then they bring the fusion, no?
And I don't know whether you can call it fusion, but I think they bring a lot of their own experiences with it, and they lift it and they refine it and they do certain things with it. Some do it really well. Some don't do it as well. The people who do it really well are the people who are authentic, even if they do try to elevate and do something slightly different with the same ingredients, with the same flavor profiles, or add layers of flavor to it. If you're doing it with an authentic philosophy to highlight the Sri Lankanness of the foods, or the potential, the flexibility of those Sri Lankan ingredients and those flavors to appeal to everyone in the world. As you do it, like I said, if you're true to yourself in that, you still do extremely well. I mean, Larry and Rishi, their creations are just incredible. Darshan, what he's done with with flavor profiles of Sri Lanka and the flavors and the ingredients, it's incredible. So there's a huge amount of potential there for other people to start this. And you go around Sri Lanka, you eat at people's homes, and even though it's still rice and curry, the flavors, the spices, the spice mixes, the preparation methods all change from region to region within Sri Lanka. So it's absolutely brilliant. And I think in London, Sri Lankan food's been trending, the hottest food trend for 2019, and probably still is. And around the world, people are changing. People don't now look at, England was famous for bland food in the
of course.
70s,
Fish and
60s,
chips,
early 80s.
kidney pies.
But it's absolutely changed. It's such a hotbed of innovative cuisine. They're looking for authenticity. They're looking for new things. And Sri Lankan foods, just kind of ticks all those boxes. And you get some wonderful places there.
But the thing is, see, when it comes to Sri Lankan food in the world stage, we kind of get, somewhat overshadowed by our neighbors' Indian foods. My experience in England, they would say, isn't it the same? Have we got our place still?
Yeah, I think that's really changing, because the consumers are a lot more informed now. There's so many research articles out there, food apps, rating apps. So all of them are looking now for, I think they want an experience. They just don't want to go there and kind of go to a place to eat for the sake. They want authenticity. They want to experience, what those spices are, what those flavors are. It could be in the form of, your typical lunch table that you find in a Sri Lankan home, or it could be in the form of those ingredients and those flavors elevated into a more kind of a more modern, cutting edge kind of presentation. But it's changing. Sri Lankan food's definitely on the map now.
Fantastic, and all the very best. I know Ministry of Crab is doing very well. You opened up all over the world, so hopefully that continues.
We've been very fortunate.
Yeah. Well, cricket, business, success just seems to follow you wherever you go. Now, but then they all...
I'm not really sure about that, but...
I know you're very humble. But they do say, Sangha, they say a woman is behind every successful man. Now, how do you relate to that with the women in your life? Because I know your mother played a big role in the beginning. And your wife right now, you have even gone on record and said she has sacrificed a lot, and now it's your turn since your retirement to do that.
Yeah, well, I've said it's my turn, but I haven't really been able to, give that larger quantity of time. But I probably in the next year.
But what does that phrase mean to you?
Well, because I think it's, everyone looks for balance, but balance is something that you really can't achieve, perfect balance. It's always weighted in favor of something that is taking up most of your time and focus. So, it's difficult sometimes to concentrate on just the important stuff, the few important things, the important sections in your life, and the few important people in your life, because of all the other noise, the kind of all the other minutiae that comes along with it. And in Sri Lanka, you have certain responsibilities beyond your own home and beyond the cricket field, because all that good fortune that we've been afforded comes with, in my view, a certain sense of responsibility to people, outside that your intimate circle. So sometimes, then of course, you've got to sometimes take a break and refocus. So that's the same. I think my wife's, she's always traveled with me. It's always been cricket, and now still it's a lot about the cricket. So
she puts up with a lot, no?
Yeah, of course, and and it's a case of when is it then, when does the focus change? So she's been very patient. So I think it's really now coming to a point where I really need to settle down and cut out all that excess time commitments, and then really focus on the important stuff. It's not an easy. It's not easy to just do it. Draw a line and do it. Although that's probably one way of doing it. So slowly phase it out, and in the next year and a half, really kind of shift focus back. But like you said, women all over the world, in everyone's life, whether it's a son or a daughter, I think growing up, the women in your life play one of the most important roles, and both parents take important roles at various stages in your life.
Yeah.
At a certain point it's a mother, certain point it's a father, at certain point it's both, and it's never only one person's responsibility. It's got to feed off both. So unfortunately, in my home, it's been a lot about Yahali taking the lead with the children and all of that, just because of time, and me kind of fitting into that, which now has to change. My children are 10 years old, but she's been absolutely wonderful. She's very grounded. She's got great values. She's very spiritual. So it's really helped the children and definitely me. In every sphere. She reads people very well. She's got very cut and dry ideas about life and things we should do and not do. So it's great to have that kind of backing and grounding.
That's very, very important, isn't it? Well, okay, now we brought your wife into the conversation. Now I'm going to go back into your history.
Yeah.
So I found out that you were quite the hopeless romantic in your teen years when it comes to winning Yahali's heart. And I found out that this is on record by, I think, some of your friends, Ginny and Dilu, and also your childhood friend Darshana Senarat confirms this to be true, even though you don't like talking about it. Apparently you used to write pages and pages of letters with English poems and 100-rupee phone cards, back in the day when we didn't have mobiles. And also, this is pretty sweet, you used to travel to Colombo when your wife was studying from Kandy just to drop off gifts and go back. You used to be a romantic type, Sangha.
I get accused now of having completely lost that side. Now become like a typical married man. But I used to do most of it. Some of that is exaggerated for sure. But I used to. She was working here after she left school in Colombo, so I had to come and see her and then go back. So. She lied to my mother and say I was going out, get in a bus, come to Colombo, and then go back. And so it was interesting times. I think a lot of people go through that, and unfortunately it's embarrassing when you get reminded about it on a daily basis. And I think my wife's kept those letters as evidence so ever since that time, trying to see where she's hid them so I could just kind of get rid of them and one day kind of contribute to the kitchen hearth.
Put this on public and say, this is what Kumar wrote to me when you were... But see, the thing is, the story is, this is like a fairy tale. I mean, you guys fell in love in your teen years.
Yeah, we met when you were about 16, 17, and then...
Can you tell us how you first met? Was it like a love at first sight
or
gradual?
No, gradual, definitely gradual. They always say the people who fall in love at first sight need second sight or hindsight. No, it was gradual. We met because one of my friends went to her place, her home, and then I tagged along, and then that led to us talking, and that led to me calling her and annoying her a little bit, and then that grew into a friendship that grew into something a little bit more. And it was gradual. Yeah, and we stuck at it for 8 years before we got married.
Nice. Now, we're going to take a small break and we'll be back talking more cricket, more opinions, more thoughts, more about his career in cricket, of course. Focus more on the cricket side of things now. And certain opinions we need to get from you. Some controversial stuff are coming up as well. I'm going to put you on the spot for some certain things. But hey, we got to go for a song. This is what Sangha calls his favorite song, and how I found out 2011 you did an interview with Harsha Bogle. And he asked you, what's your favorite song? After a couple of seconds thinking about it, you said, okay, this particular track from the Rolling Stones. So we're going to hear that from now. This is Sangha's favorite track. Well, the greatest rock and roll band of all time, the Rolling Stones, from their album Beggar's Banquet. Welcome back to the Big Boss Show. And I have Mr. Kumar Sangakkara on the show. He's my guest today. And I told you I have a surprise special guest. Getting these two in the same room for us here is very, very difficult. But hey, it's finally happening. A rare moment of two cricketing legends. Well, the first Sri Lankan to be inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame, greatest bowler of all time. He's the owner of that magic number 800, the title of his biography as well. He's one of only two players who have more than 1,000 wickets across all formats. Mr. Muttiah Muralidharan is here. Welcome to the Big Boss Show. Murali, how are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for coming. I know both of you have immense scheduling issues, and thank you so much for giving me the time. Now, we've been talking to Sangha all this time, and his beginnings in cricket. Now, you have also had an encounter when he was 13. You had met him because both of you shared the same coach, didn't you? Mr. Sunil Fernando?
Yeah, that time is, I think Sunil Fernando maybe in 80s, I think. Mostly 80s, on late 80s, I think. Sangha used to come with the father. So his father is old Antonian, so he knows the coach very well. So that time St. Anthony's cricket was little higher than whatever the Trinity could play.
The big match, no?
not even the big match, I'm saying just junior cricket and all. So there were not many good coaches at the time. So he thought Sunil can help him a little bit more. Then when he comes, so we have to bowl because he's younger than me, quite younger, because about 6 years or 5-6 years. At the time, I didn't know much because about him. And when he comes to play into international cricket, then one of my cousin also played with him in Trinity. Then we know each other. So when he's beginning, he was more into studies, and he went to not think about much. He was playing for NCC. So he got a break to Zimbabwe, South Africa, A team. He was playing well when we were in Zimbabwe. So when we were watching and he was playing well, then I told Sanath, this guy will be a very good player for us. If any opportunity, he should bring him to the side. Then only we decided to speak to the selectors and get him. So that's the way he started.
But
yeah, and also I remember in the first, I think, time I was put down to bat number 7, Murray was the one who said, no, you can't bat number 7, you have to bat number 5 in one-day cricket. So that's how I got a good batting position also.
Right. So both of you, when you met each other for the first time, what was the impression? Because you went on record saying, I didn't know Murali was going to be this great.
No, he was bowling to me on the cement net and he was turning the ball square. So I was trying to get at least a bat on ball. But then I remember watching him in the big match, where we all went to watch the big match. And at that time he used to bowl, but also once he batted number 3. I remember still in the big match. And then
you batted number 3.
Yeah, one day game you came out to bat number 3.
No. I think in the big match, last big match, so it was going to get draw. So
it was a 2-day event. No, that's the trouble.
Yeah, 2 days. Then I thought I asked the captain, Nuwan Kalpage, can I go early? Then he said, don't tell the coach. You put that up in the dressing room, and when you get out, you run away. I did that. Coach was so disappointed. I got only 14 runs and came back. So sometimes in school cricket, something, the game is not going to go. Then you say last year, finishing year. So Nuwan said, go
Nuwan,
ahead.
I mean, when he was playing Nuwan Kalpage, Ruwan Kalpage, Sajith Fernando, amazing cricketers at St. Anthony's who went on to do really, really well. And then, of course, 100 wickets, 127 wickets, right? Your record
Yeah.
was at that.
At St. Anthony's?
It was 127 in a very small amount of matches because
14
I think
14
14
matches.
games.
Wow.
The record was broken. I think it was
Nimesh Perra, no?
Nimesh
For
Perra broke it
130 odd
was
something.
30 odd games,
Wow.
27 or 30. But
No, that's not it, because
14 games.
when we start playing school cricket, we only play the fixtures. So those days were like, you play certain fixtures, that's all. So I missed 2 fixtures because of playing for England A and academy matches. So I think that system was very good rather than our system, because they are playing tournaments. I think under 19 tournament not should be a tournament. It's a friendly game with each schools, and get experience and get the experience for the boys who play a longer game, rather than trying to, in 2 days it's very difficult to win a game. So it's hard, but still you will play well, because nowadays if you see, hardly you see people getting 1,000 runs in the system, and when you used to play, about 6, 7, 8 people get 1,000 runs in a season within 15, 14 games, and someone will get 100 wickets. So that kind of a talent has been not coming last, I think 10 years, 10, 12 years. That is the shortcoming of Sri Lanka cricket, I think, mostly.
Yeah, you have gone on record and said that provincial matches would be more helpful. We'll get into that topic a little bit later. I want to talk about Mr. Sunil Fernando. I raised it up with him. Both of you share the same coach. I found out that Mr. Sunil Fernando, you were originally a medium pace bowler, and under his advice, you switched to spin.
See, what happens is when you are young, as age of 8, you try to bowl spin with the tennis ball, and ball doesn't go right way, and easier thing, so come and bowl straight fast, try to bowl fast. So all kids start with that. Nowadays maybe they try like that, a different way. When you used to play, everyone wants to bowl fast. So in that era, is the fast bowling is the key, West Indian. We didn't see any footage, but heard about this Walsh and everything. Malcolm Marshall, Holding, and those kind of people, hearing how fast they. So everyone wants to be a fast bowler and try to bowl bouncers. So that's the way it is. So I was not tall enough. I was not growing, because at the age of 10 and 11, 12. So coach said it's a waste of time, because you're trying to be very short and going to bowl fast. When you go age, it doesn't seem right. You won't go nowhere. So better to bowl cutters or off spin or whatever he said. Then I tried few times, and naturally I didn't know also it was turning the ball. Then he said keep continuing.
Oh wow! Well done.
He also played rugby, by the way. Murli played rugby, I think, at standoff.
Yes,
You were standoff.
And
Okay,
then
that's second row,
his
okay.
brother Sashi played very good rugby as well. And then Prabhu, the youngest, played cricket 1 year junior to me at Trinity.
But he didn't do anything. So I think rugby was a passion for me, because in the hostel, you go and see every rugby match, because all the hostelers go to Nittawala ground and walking distance, and that's the way out for hostelers. Otherwise you can't go out. So we all go and watch rugby. So rugby, one game we loved it, but I was not that talented. But because I can run fast and kick the ball. So those two happened. So they asked me to come and play. So I played a few games, second 15. And one game first 15, and after played, my principal said not to play, because no, seriously, Father Stephen, he said you are much better in cricket, don't injure yourself and not to miss cricket. So I think you should consider you stop this.
Right, so eventually the cricket came up. Okay, now I have both of you here, so I'm going to be sharing and kind of rehashing some of these incidents that you all have had in cricket. Now, I told Sangha this earlier. I remember this incident. It just made me, I don't know what to feel, when Sangha scored a century and then you went to congratulate him and then run out. Now at that time, it was kind of, Mahela wasn't very happy about it. He said that he was not in the spirit of the game. But do you remember this incident?
Yeah, it was in New Zealand, and Muralidharan crossed over for the single, touched down, and then he came back to congratulate me. And then the bails were taken off.
Because he said the ball was still in play.
No, it's according to the law, it's in play. because the spirit of the game. But we did. The ball was in the air, it's coming. Then I knocked it, and then only I knew it was in his hand. Right. So I just walked away. When I went, he went lately only. He also realized something. But I think recently he apologized for that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I think he came and said that because that was a crucial game as well, because he got 100. We put a big partnership, and we had about only 80 runs, and to get that 80 runs, they'll 7 wickets went.
Yeah.
If he'd have scored another 40-50 runs,
that's what we're talking about as well. We're talking about batting together. So let's get another 40 runs, 50 runs. We can get this over the line.
It was disappointing because we thought New Zealanders normally if you see this World Cup and behaved and everything, I never expect New Zealand to do that.
Yeah. They were quite nice people. Now, I want to talk to you about your batting. See, everyone likes it when Sangha comes, Mahela comes, they know they're going to perform. But when you walk into the field with a bat, everyone's happy because they know they're in for a show. The opponents.
The show is
no, because
the show is I try to hit leg side, the ball will go offside. I also don't know which way it's going.
Actually, if you take batting, I think Murali has hit sixers, some of the greatest fast bowlers to ever play the game. So from Waka Yunus to Darren Gough to Mackay Intini. And the other thing is, when he's come out to bat, it depends on, everyone thinks that he just comes and hits, but he always comes and he says, okay, now in this situation, I'm just going to stay and I will help you get 100 or I will help you get to this score. So, and he does it. There's another instance when we were playing a final against Bangladesh in Bangladesh. They got 156.
No,
they batted well. They got 156.
Okay.
And we were 6 runs for 4 wickets or something.
5 wickets.
5 wickets.
Wow.
You were batting with Russell Arnold got some
Maruf. So then Maruf and I had a partnership.
It was 70-80 runs.
Yeah, and then I got out with about 50 runs to get. And then someone else got out, and then Murali had to go to bat. We had only about
Maruf and me.
Yeah, 2.5 overs to score like 30 runs. And the Bangladeshis were getting ready. There was a helicopter flying around with flowers to be put when they win and all of this. And to finish the game, they brought in Rubel Hussain, who bowls a little bit like Malinga with a square arm, to finish the game. And all of us were like, oh my God, this is going to be so tough. If we lose this to Bangladesh, it's going to be so bad.
At the time, we don't want to lose to Bangladesh.
No charge. It was the worst thing that can happen. And then he bowled, and Murali took him for 28 runs.
24 runs.
24 runs off the over. It was the most incredible display of hitting I've ever seen, and it was just 6. And won the game for us. So that was, and the helicopter had to turn around and go. We were all running onto the field. So I think if you take, and there was another instance in Kandy against India in 2001 or 2. When you got a 67.
No, see, the batting is, what I felt is the batting is when I have helped Sangha also sometimes Ashanti and somebody. So when batsman is there, I think you have to help him try my best to block my guard and give them opportunity to get that 100, magical 100. Everyone wants to be in the hundreds because get that, and also it helps the team also, and also they help. So when the situation is not like that, I'm batting with another tail ender, then I think it's better to bowl rather than I'm wasting my overs, about 10 overs there, and getting only 3-4 runs and getting out. And so better to slog and get 20-30 runs, head to the row. And if you get out, doesn't matter. So that's the way I played it, the game. So it suited me in some instance. I couldn't even one or two instances backfired also, because it happens, because you have to take a chance. If he is a Kumar, when you bat, he will have to take a chance sometimes, because every times you can't play according to that. So I think the game has changed a lot from we were playing and now, because we can't expect, the way they play now is different, and way we played Test cricket is different, way we played one day cricket is T20 is different. So we can't compare errors, but we think this team has the talent, we have the talent, but there is no proper coaching. Proper coaching means from the junior into even in the senior, and also they don't have a proper competition before Test cricket or one day cricket or T20 in a domestic level. They don't have a competition to at least closer to that competition what you have international. If you have that kind of a competition, then only you get used to how to tackle difficult situation. That's what lacking in us. So when we say, you said no, Bangladesh, we were shame about losing. We all had shame losing to a smaller side. Even when you so I think that shame also gone now because they don't see. The mentality has changed on people. So we think, okay, it's a pride. It's all about our pride and country's pride. And we don't want to lesser team comes and beats us. It hurts us a lot. Even the other team beats also hurts us a lot. But this hurts more. So we put more effort to make sure. And also when in home to losing. That hurts us a lot. So we don't want to because it's our soil. So we have to be in. I mean, when you go abroad, you have difficulties, the boy and everything. So that pride is not there, and the coaching structure is not there, and there is not a good competition in a higher level to get into the other level. That's what I think.
Yeah, but you know what? Critics actually call your batting, you know what? Unorthodox and adventurous. It was
and
joy.
effective.
And effective. And my favorite was your 32 or 15 balls against Pakistan, which I thought was an amazing knock. Now, coming back to another incident with you, this is a very iconic, one of your highlights of your wicket-keeping career. The freakiest stumping ever?
That's in Australia.
Jimmy Ma.
Please kind of explain about that.
So that game was significant for two things. One was that stumping because when I used to first come and keep to Muralidharan, it was really difficult for me to read the Dusra. And then he had the off break and he'll control the turn.
I don't think so.
So he has one off break that turns massively, which almost looks like a Dusra.
Right.
And then he has the other off breaks that turn a little bit less. And then the Dusra. So I used to learn how to, so he helped me and Ramesh Kalvitan helped me to read the hand a lot. And he used to come and work with me and say, okay, you start keeping, this is the Dusra. So he used to always bowl at me, and then it took me a long time. So actually what I do is with a batsman, I keep really wide on the crease so I can see his hand when he's bowling. I don't care about the batsman, I just want to see the hand so I know where. This one, Jimmy Ma's bat got in the way and I thought, okay, this is a Dusra. And he was running down the track. I went moved into the wicket.
You actually went the wrong way.
And then suddenly this thing bites and turns and I don't know what to do. I stick a hand out and I'm so far off balance I had to turn around and throw the ball into the stump. So it was actually not a great bit of wicket keeping. It was just like you said, freaky. But to me the important thing about that match was Murali had to chase a ball to the boundary. And he chased and you tore your groin, no? Your groin.
Quadricep muscle.
Yeah, your quadricep muscle.
Okay.
Then he comes back and the crowd at that time, when he injured himself, actually cheered. So and Murali was also, we were all upset and Murali was quite upset and he came back. And we said, okay, you better go off. He said, no, I'm going to finish my overs. I will bowl my overs, whether I have to stand here in one spot or not, he bowled. And the funniest thing was he bowled, I think you got Shane Watson out and someone else out, just standing in one place and bowling. So I still remember that part where he just said, no, I'm not going off the field. I'm going to finish my overs.
Only Murali can do that, no?
Yeah. No, because see, not only me, so I have seen a lot of people, even sometimes they broke the thumb, Sangha and all. They are played sometimes because in cricket, right, okay, you have to finish your game whether you're injured or not. So fast bowlers is difficult, spinners is one hand can. Sometimes batsmen also will can because of even fractured fingers. So that is the way we play the game, because doesn't matter, because end of the day not about us. It's all about team and the country, because where we are representing the country and the team. Team is more important because how many wickets I get, how many runs he scores, it doesn't matter. End of the day we don't win. It hurts a lot, even if you get 100 wickets, 10 wickets, whatever, it's end of the day. The most enjoyable thing is winning. The winning ways, we have to, how to get it to the winning ways. So we did that a couple of decades because we knew how to win matches in Australia. We knew how to we are not a side like, explosive side. Like, we knew, we smartly, craftily, we won matches, because when one-day games, we know we don't go for the wickets, we just block runs, put pressure, and suddenly we'll take 4 wickets in about 5 overs and win the match. So that
was the strategy at that time.
No, yeah, see, everyone was very clever and everyone know their game. And we thought everyone was a captain.
Yeah.
Because they come and tell you what everything. If I don't, I'm going to ask Sangha straight away, Sangha, whether if I do this, it's right that time. See, I am not the person to judge every time I'm not right, but other people also can give input. So those are the things I think coaches has to teach the youngsters, how to read the game. That is the main part we are lacking in this decade.
Yeah, that's also true. I think Murali's point is spot on. Game awareness, reading the game, understanding what to do in this situation, then what to do in the next situation. Those are crucial aspects of winning games. And I think that's where, like he said, the competitions that you play below international cricket is very important, because without that, you can't do that at international cricket. It just doesn't come to you. You have to learn it. And that experience counts. So that's why you need to kind of revamp that setup.
Is that why you were suggesting the provincial matches also?
No, not provincial. See, those days when we are, so many cricketers went through, go to league cricket in England. Some have got opportunity to play for county cricket. County cricket teaches you a lot, conditions and everything, and you are a professional. And they expect more. Even a league cricket, they expect from the pro. You have to be a pro. Then you have to pro. What do you have to? You can't be. You have to think a lot.
Yeah.
Think for others. Think for yourself. The game awareness.
And
perform. So these are the expectations you have. So nowadays, if you see, nobody has the opportunity. Those days when IPL started, 15 players were, out of that 8 players were playing in the IPL. Now one can't get in a chance.
Yeah.
So like that, it's something somewhere wrong. We don't know how to fix it. But I think it's all about confidence, building their confidence, and coaches has to come back and play sometimes more A-team cricket. Bring 123. Even when I started, those days we didn't have money in 1994. Still, Australia Academy came. England A will come. So like that, you have 3-day matches, 4-day matches. So those are the matches, and also those days, clubs are only 8 clubs.
Yeah.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
Even I can remember when we played, with them and Aravinda and all. Even for me, it's very hard to get them. In international cricket, I like walking like everything, like taking 3 wickets for 20. When I play against them, they score about 50, 60 runs, I have to take 2 wickets. Seriously, so that kind of a competition we had. Tamil Union playing in the NCC, SSC, like there are about 5-6 clubs. Broomfield, CCC, all top players played. So
Mr. Aravinda De Silva was also an NCC.
Aravinda is not easy to get him out. Aravinda, there are a lot of players. Arjuna. See, so many players we had. Now it's diluted. 24 come diluted, because then you don't play that kind of a game.
Yeah, and all the wickets are very different also now.
And flat wickets, prepared. Michael De Souza, he passed away, sorry to say that, but he is one of the guy who loves SSC.
Yeah.
He prepares wicket according to what SSC wants. Tamil Union, so wickets were good, everything, because it's only the competition, only 8 or 9 teams. So the money also born into whatever, because we didn't have millions of dollars. Today, our budget is about $25 million a year. Those days, get even $200,000 a year is a harder thing. Seriously, when I went first tour, my tour fee is £600. Right, whole tour about 2 months because first tour, and then first test match is 2,500 rupees for the test match. So I'm not saying the money is there now, but we are not using it in the proper manner only, I think.
We're kind of diverted from our actual focus of cricket. Would you agree? Is that what has happened?
Well, no, I think the focus is still cricket, but it doesn't matter how you focus on cricket. You have to do the right. You have to have the right structure, the right spending, the right focus on the foundations of the cricket in Sri Lanka. So you have to kind of refocus on the important parts, cut down on certain unimportant things, and really focus your finances and efforts the right way to try and get this system back to where it should be. Otherwise, a lot of the other countries have changed so much over the years, right? I mean, England went from 18 counties to 9 counties, and they're revamping Division 1 and 2. New Zealand, how they've come with this very small population, how they've come now to become a world force. India has gone,
somewhere
leaps and bounds.
So the thing is, see, when the people can say, older cricketers can say, we didn't have anything, still we somehow played the cricket. Yeah. Right. That is something we didn't have. We used that time, what the opportunity we had, we took the best out of it. Now, what happens is, we have financially we are okay. Grounds are there. Other things can build. Players you can pay if you want to,
and
right?
The players have the talent.
Players have
amazing talent.
So you have to groom them. So groom. Nowadays, to those days, if I come and say, Murali, come, you can play for Tamil Union, I will be like, to get into Tamil Union, I will think it's the greatest man. Now, to club, how much you pay? Like that attitude has come. So those days we didn't have. So we want to get into the side, somehow get into the side. Nowadays what happens is, there is money, but board is not giving enough to the players, to infrastructure and everything. So what I'm saying is, in India, if you take it the example, so when I went to 80s and 90s, if you see the ground, side wickets, when I went to West Indies, nothing. West Indies had lesser than Sri Lanka.
Really, huh? That bad?
Infrastructure, no, because after 2011 World Cup only they put the infrastructure grounds.
Wow.
2000 2007, 7 World Cup. Then only they build grounds. That also India has to build grounds. China came and built the grounds. And so West Indies is a very poor country. It is not rich as us. So what I'm trying to say is here is, so India, what they did is, they did the right thing. They put infrastructure right. They paid the players right. They put a biggest tournament in the world. But they could afford. But Sri Lanka, in that way, Bangladesh, you see, they don't have money like thing. They also invested in a tournament. Players you bring, outside players you bring. So Sri Lanka should have done that. Sri Lanka did try to do that, but in a different, not in a professional way. Right way. So we have to come to that place to develop this. So what they are doing at the moment is enough, but the performance they are getting is because you can say you will say after 2015 till we won everything, right? Most of the team won, Sangha, Mayala, everyone, Dilshan, everyone went. So that these players were built in 1999-98. So things about 2015, 25, how many years now? 17 years. So 17 years these players have been playing and built it to that. Yeah, you will get the performance from them. What after that, 2010, 2011, we couldn't build it. The younger players, whoever we tried to build, selectors chased away. One batch of players within Tilna Kandambi, Kapugedara, these guys we built, and selectors came and omitted about 7 or 8 players. Taranga still, he's one of the best players. So they all gone. In about 2 years, then again they try to bring them. So once you out them 2 years, they're not playing any competitive cricket.
The club cricket is not good enough for them to go back and improve
themselves.
2 years. And a lot of the players then what they do is they go abroad and play league cricket abroad, and suddenly the young players who come to the club level don't have senior players to learn from. So it's kind of a broken system.
This just sounds like bad management.
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
It
can be changed if they want to take that step. It's not too late.
It's all about in the board officials, what they want to do. See, the easy way is there, right? So why we don't get involved is, see, we go involved, our inputs are not taken properly. Now, I'm not saying take everything, but we give small things if they take and put it together as a puzzle, and they do it. They might, because they can say we are young and small, we don't have the experience. Maybe they can say sometimes you not admin experience, but it's not the case. So there are very good players who have very bright minds because who played the game, how to improve, how to coach, everyone knows. So get everyone together one table without anything and have a discussion for about 1 or 2 weeks and see where we, and it has to be honest. Because once you get that from, somebody has to implement that. If you come to the table, you talk this, next day go and do your work, it is manner. So we thought it is pointless.
Okay. I'm going to take this into a lighter note on the show.
Yeah.
Things are getting a bit serious.
No, it's not serious.
No, I understand.
It's a way, it's a, you say no, it's a Sri Lankan way.
Okay. On a lighter note, Sangha, you wrote about this in this column for Wisdom. I think for a year, I think you wrote this column, and on that once you did on Murali. And as I was reading it, I found out something quite amusing and bizarre. Apparently, you have a very special friendship with Andrew Flintoff. He doesn't play any bounces at you. You don't play the deuce right him. Is that true?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you an instance. We were playing a test match in Kandy, and Murali was getting Freddie out for fun. So Freddie Flintoff was having a bad tour. So he came out to bat in Kandy. He was coming in, very nervous, but the wicket was turning and Murali was bowling beautifully. So he comes in and Murali goes up to him and says, okay, I'm going to push mid-on down to long-on. First ball is going to be an off break. I'll bowl it full, you hit it to mid-on and you get off the mark. That's the only thing I can give you. So he bowls the first turn like that, done, long-on, single. So he's really, but then Murali got him out about 3 overs later. He got Freddie out. And there was one match in Lords where we were batting, I don't know for how long. You batted for about 2 hours to save a game. A test match. We batted 5 sessions out to save a game and Murali was batting. And Freddie was bowling. He was asked to bowl bounces by Michael Vaughan or something.
Nasir Hussain was very angry that he wasn't playing a
and then Freddie said, no, if I'm bowling, I should be able to get him out right. And he accidentally bowled a bumper where Murali got hit on the glove and he apologized to Murali and went back. And Murali batted for about 2.5 hours with Vasi and saved that game for us. So that is brilliant because it was not just, they were very competitive on the field against each other. I mean, they were great friends, but very, very competitive. But in a manner that was really nice. Sometimes you don't see today, like they had respect for each other and a lot of love for each other.
Mm-hmm. I thought was very interesting. Okay, you have called Mr. Brian Lara as the toughest batsman for you to bowl because you found him as your greatest opponent. Now, he, in an interview when he was asked, differentiate Shane Warne and Muralidharan, he gave a very interesting distinction. He said, with you, Brian Lara could never figure you out. He was confused when he was batting. He would never figure what your game plan was. But what he identified was, let's say he somehow stuck around on the ground, not out for about 45 minutes. He sees you losing confidence. And that's when Brian Lara capitalizes on it and everything. So he always said it was those first 45 minutes that was pivotal for him because that's when Murali brings the A game. Shane, on the other hand, as 45 minutes later, as time goes by, is when Warney gets, more confident. So Brian Lara tries to, so that's the kind of distinction he saw. Would you agree with that assessment?
See, first, before talking about Brian Lara and other players, if you take who other players will play, our players will play better me than anyone else, especially Sangha and Mahela and Aravinda, Marwan. This kind of, some other players still can't in our players, but these 4 or 5 players they watch the ball from the delivery itself, and also they see the seam positions also. So they are very clever. So they understand what I am bowling before Sangha or Mahela or Aravinda will know. If I bowl in the Dusra, they know what I am going to bowl the Dusra. Right. So that can. So when you come to Brian Lara, what happens is I don't lose confidence. Maybe you would have thinking like that. What happens is early on is easy to take him out. If you take Brian early on, if he goes quickly. When he plays about 45 to 50 minutes, he adjusts himself in that and he knows what to do. So what he did is for me every time is in our bowling attack at the time we had myself and Vas. Most of the time he found difficult both of us. So he wants to we can bowl only 10 overs in a session,
Yeah.
right? He makes sure, then other bowler comes, you ask Sangha what he does. He just hits them about 20 runs an over in about 3-4 overs. He will get it to 100 quickly. That's the way he played the game. But he doesn't read me, I know 100%. But from the pitch, he has a good eye-hand coordination. So he can adjust. Not many people can do.
Yeah.
That's why it was difficult for getting him out.
He was one of those rare players who could do that. And also at that time, none of the umpires could understand how to give an LBW to the Dusra because they weren't reading. No, that is very important. So on the front foot, if a lot of players got hit, umpires didn't give out LBW. The only two umpires I remember who changed that was Alimda and Bakna, I think, who started reading the Dusra very well. When other umpires, they took a long time. So by that time, we had about 10 appeals that should be out, and none of them were given, and that allows. But Brian had a special ability, like Muralidharan said, about watching the ball off the pitch a lot of time. And I always think that if Murali and Vasi had two other bowlers who could get those wickets in certain stages, both Murali and Vasi would have taken, he would have not taken 80, he would have taken about 950 to 1,000 wickets, because the two of them had to bowl to the openers, to the top order, middle order, and the tail. So in the heat that we play, the amount of overs that you can be the best bowler in the world, but you can't get over your physical tiredness. So then after 45 minutes to an hour, you bowl continuous for 30 overs, 40 overs. The effectiveness slowly goes. Whereas Warney, he was always fresh because he had
three bowlers.
three other bowlers who would break through partnership, bowl with the new ball. So he had to come in, and he had a much easier time of it. So those were the differences that sometimes gets lost.
And we have to credit Vas also, because in this heat,
amazing,
as a fast bowler,
Yeah.
bowling 30 overs, it's
Every
unbelievable.
ball was consistent. Exactly like how he's,
And that is one thing why he lost a bit of the pace at the end, because you can't sustain that
For such a long time.
such a long time. And I remember in that test against a particular tour where Brian did well, in the West Indies last test at SSC, he took 14 wickets, 7 and 7.
Wow.
In the
He reversed the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. See, it's okay. Now, this is where I'm going to put you both on the spot. The 2011 World Cup. Now, that was a very, very tumultuous final for us. You had mentioned that if we had bowled first, we would have been able to win. And I think you also said, looking back at it now, maybe that was the right decision. Can you give us a bit of schedule?
No. Why I said this, because I used to play in IPL matches and all. Every time there is dew in the night. So only the ICC was convincing Sangha that they're going to spray something and it won't come. So he was in confident at the time, and also we had a little bit of in the batting dilemma, because Angelo got injured. The batsmen were a little afraid to chase. So that was the thing that I thought, even though I thought because best chance to beat India is by chasing, because we proved that before. I didn't play that tournament. We played 5 games in India. All the dew was there.
Okay.
Every time they scored 330, even we chased and won.
Yeah.
Every time they batted 3 times, they won more than 300 and chased and won. Every time we batted second, we chased 300. So that's the comparison I was telling. This is the dilemma between the batsman, and only thing I was saying, because end of the day it's a collective decision. It's not only one person's decision. So I am only was saying that at the time to bowl. So many people were saying bat, and also coach also. Always the Australians likes to put on runs and defend.
Yeah, I remember even just before the toss, we asked, what do you think? Should we take the risk and chase? Because we were playing a 6-5 combination, 6 batsmen and 1 all-rounder and 5. But Muralidharan is right, because we had formulated a strategy until that time, until Angelo got injured, that if we play India, in India, not outside India, if we play India in India, then we were going to chase. But that injury was very crucial, because it changed the balance of the side, and then it changed our thinking from going from a chasing mindset to a bat first mindset. And I always look back and I think the whole final, if you take 1996 in the finals,
We chased.
Sri Lanka chased, and in the first over, we lost 2 wickets,
Yeah.
I think, remember. Both Sanath and Kalu were out, and I remember watching it and thinking, oh my God, that's it. Now we have it. And then
Yeah, the
Asanka
experience.
Gurusinghe and Aravinda came about. Then this was the same. We got Sehwag and Tendulkar out. We had an
Same
opportunity
thing.
with Gambhir on 19
But we-
to get him out, but then the partnerships came in, and
No,
unfortunately
the
Duke
ball
comes
was
in
so
and-
wet,
yeah.
even no reversing, couldn't spin the ball.
Yeah.
So it's like we were playing very straight, and it was, and also Dhoni also came early rather than sending Yuvraj. Yuvraj was scared of me bowling.
No, but if you had taken Gambhir out, I think that would have been Yuvraj coming in rather than the
pressure is,
right-hander. So those are the little kind of 1%.
So we can't say that, but it is hindsight. But I thought at the time before the match, I thought we could have failed, because one thing happened also against New Zealand. We batted first. We only play in Mumbai.
Yeah.
We batted first. We batted and we got about 280 runs.
260.
260 Sanjay. So only thing is, we bowled. We didn't know who is going to come. Sangha gave me the early bowling. I can remember that. I took 4 wickets in about span, and they lost about 50 runs for 6 or something.
Yeah.
Then Franklin came. We couldn't get him out. He got
Yeah,
about 60,
yeah.
70 till 200. It was soaking wet. We won the match by 80 runs. So those are the incident thing. But mainly people all considered, selectors to everyone considered the injury was the most important thing than the condition. So see, these things happens in cricket. But thing is, you can see, sometimes you can say, we could have done this, we could have done that. But this is the end of the day, it is gone. So we can't think about that.
It's gone.
Right? It's gone. And, so we hope somebody will come. We can't be celebrating these 96 for 30 years, 40 years celebrations.
Hopefully in the future. We're going to go for a small break. Allow my guests to have a little bit of a breather. There's another song that Sangha picked, of course, and we are going way back. This is retro, one of the originals, the OGs in music. We're going to be playing Nina Simone. Well, Nina Simone, I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. Iconic song from an iconic singer. Welcome back to the Big Boss Show. You are tuned in with me, CJ, of course, with my guests here, Mr. Kumar Sangakkara and Mr. Muttiah Muralidharan. Now, Murali, you started Foundation of Goodness with your agent. And Sangha, you're also in the board of trustees along with Mahela and Mr. Russell Arnold. Tell us a little bit about this foundation, because I know this is very personal for you.
I don't like call Kushila agent. He's my manager,
Yeah.
and he doesn't do anybody else's. Only he looked after me. So Kushil and we went a long way, because in 1999 I introduced by some people. He was in the cricket board, and he was the secretary at the time. And then I heard of him. He's doing good work for charitable, and I also want to do, but I didn't know where to give. See, sometimes you give money, you don't know where to go. It doesn't go somewhere. But I thought this is the right person. Then we started, like, first I asked him and said, you'd like to be my manager also, and also we will do some charity with you. I want to join. So he said, okay, fine. And we started with, like, first Muralidharan Gunasekara Foundation. First we've named, and we only did small things like giving bags to school children, and whoever have problems medically, you couldn't have. Kushil knows the small money only we spent. And then we said, and Kushilan decided, not good to use names, and why should we want to use names? And he came up with a name called Foundation of Goodness.
Okay.
That's time only 1999. 2000 we started.
It's done a lot of work, regional development, and
Yeah, so then we started, and we were doing little by little, and tsunami came. When tsunami came, his house also destroyed and everything, and then we built close to about 1,000 houses there, and we helped a lot. And then I asked Sangha and Mayala whether they can join. So they also said they could, and they also joined. And then Russell joined, Vas was there, still I don't know what he was doing. Then Ashan Mallasekara was there from the start, because he was a good friend of Kushil, and he was there from the start. and then Pradeep from Singapore, Karnadaran, and Rohan Hiriagolla. These kind of people, we get together and run this thing, but main actor is Kushil, not us, because we try to get all the funds, whatever we can help them. And it's going a really great job, because it's in now it's the Foundation of Goodness, then the Heartbeat Centers, we have 13, we are going to 14, 15, we help. Sangha can tell other things. I can't tell everything. Sangha,
no,
let
Sangha
say
everything. It's an amazing thing that Murali and Kushil started, and it took a life of its own after the tsunami, and it went from focusing in Sinigama and the school essentials project to building houses, then to vocational training. Then it went beyond everything, and now there are all these between 13 and 30 empowerment centers that are run, from free pharmacy, medical consultations, dentistry, to indoor-outdoor facilities
sports
for
also.
every sport. With the MCC Center of Excellence, with Brian Adams Swimming Pool, the Surrey Oval, the Dell Computer. It is huge. But the important thing is, it's 20 years old now.
Yeah.
Over 400,000 individuals empowered through this. Over 28,000
every year, 50,000 families. Every year,
28 to 50,000 families who are benefited by this foundation. And then we had the 20 years in Sinigama celebrations. We had at the head table, we had architects, we had triathletes, we had the assistant pastry chef at the Shangri-La, we had women entrepreneurs, we had women cricketers. Now, out of the current World Cup,
4 girls are there.
Yeah, there were 8 in the squad and 3 in the main, 3 or 4 in the main side. Then we had the hearing impaired cricket team. Captain was from the Foundation of Goodness. So we had these people sitting there and talking about how the foundation that Muriaya and Kushil started helped them become who they are. It's incredible. We have Tarindu Kaushal, who played international cricket.
He's from there.
Pulina Taranga, who played A-team cricket. All of these people, and countless more in all parts of Sri Lanka, not just in Sinigama, but in the north, the
Jaffna.
east, everywhere.
We have 3 centers in Jaffna.
Okay.
In east one, and then in south a lot, and then we have in even Badulla one. Now we are trying to put in Nuvareli, Hatton Nuvareli one. So like that, we want to bring all cultures together, not only one culture, and also we don't have any religion or culture differences. It's all pure humanity and helping people. So what we felt is, my felt, and maybe Sanga's also the same, I think, because you can ask him. Millions of people cheer for us, right? They only pay and watch the match. If your TV rights money comes from them, it's all over the world, but millions in Sri Lankans here. Then you think they buy a ticket and watch, enjoy, cheer up. They are giving encourage to us. They are sad if we lose. They are happy when we win. Our happiness, they are also enjoying. So they are all part of our life. So why not, when they are in difficulties, whatever we can do something for them. That's why I have told everyone, that's why I really wanted to do this, and I want to gather more and more people. It is not to make a name for us or anything. Anybody can come and join with us and help the Sri Lankan people who are underprivileged, to get them into better. So Kushil always says these rural areas to become a urban city, life taking opportunity to them to give. So that's the only thing. And also I say everyone, if we can, this country, just say, everyone is not fortunate. There are 20% of our people is more than wealthy. 20% of our country, more than wealthy, they can afford to give something. If that 20% can help one person, every person can help, one family can help one person, and the poverty will come, 40% people will be okay. Another 60. Like that, it will multiplies. So end of the day, 10 year, 15 year, 20 years time, your poverty levels will come with to 5 to 6%. Because if you can help. So that heart, everyone doesn't have. So we want to make sure, teach them in the younger days, even coming to this foundation, ethics and how to help people. Not only freebies, it's all education, giving them funding. You can say what
and
we
also
do.
the good values. You have a good values program where you teach children good values, how to, how to respect people, how to treat other people. And what Muralidharan said is spot on. If all the families that are fortunate can extend a helping hand in the right way, not just a handout, but to partner with people who are providing empowerment opportunities and clear pathways to education and employment and beyond. That is a real key. And this foundation, the way Muralidharan and Kushil have set it up, is not about them. It's about the people that it helps. Now, if you go and ask anyone in Sri Lanka about Foundation of Goodness, half of them don't know. They don't even know the work that it does. But it is, in my view, by what I've seen, it is the most effective organization that actually gets the objective achieved, achieves the target, achieves the goal. I think the foundation raises over $1 million a year.
More than 200 to 250 million we needed.
Rupees. And every year. And it's a constant. And we built a very low-key, effective network that delivers without a lot of publicity. We only use publicity and press conferences when we are launching something, but that is also only about how to help the people that need help.
Thank you. I mean, the impact that Foundation of Goodness had is remarkable, and I wish you all the very best. And for you listening out there, do Google if you want on Foundation of Goodness. It's a very informative website of what they have done and what they are doing. Maybe you can be a part of that journey as well in making an impact in someone else's life. Well, a fun round coming up. Rapid fire questions now. This is for you, Sangha. Rapid fire. All-time favorite cricketer?
Vivian Richards.
A bowler that made you nervous?
Murali, both keeping and batting against.
Okay, this could be a tough question that I'm about to ask, but your favorite cricket achievement?
Cricket achievement, well,
100 Lords?
The 4 finals, even though we lost, and then the 1 final we won in 2014.
Okay, fantastic. Your best choice for a bat? Kookaburra, Adidas Pro, which one would you recommend?
Well, I've used Kookaburra, I've used SS, I've used DSC. I love bats. I'm a batsman who loves bats, so I will choose whatever the bat is that is good, that feels good for me.
Okay, fantastic. Your favorite biography of someone and why? Because I know you read a lot of books.
I haven't read a lot of biographies in my time. One was Errol Flynn, who was an actor, and then Nelson Mandela. They were very different biographies, but equally very interesting.
Okay, maybe then if you're away from biographies, your favorite book?
Midnight's Children, Salman Rushdie.
Okay. The Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
Rolling Stones.
Okay. A philosophy you live by?
The artist must at all times educate the critic.
Okay. And your last question, something you admire in Murali?
I think a lot of people get carried away because Murali has taken 800 wickets. He's the greatest bowler to ever play the game. But the biggest thing anyone can, if they know Murali very well, is that he's got a huge, amazing heart. And he's ready to help anyone. It doesn't matter where you're from, which country you're from, whether you're from Sri Lanka or anywhere. He helps everyone. And he's got a great passion for people. And I think that's what, not just him, his father, the amount of work his father does in Kandy with the Bogambara prisons and all of this. A lot of people don't know this. They only see Murali as, okay, the legendary cricketer, successful entrepreneur, all of this. But the real thing that sets Murali apart and why Murali has so many friends around the world and who stay friends with him and so many admirers that really know him is because of his heart. He's got an amazingly generous heart.
Thank you, Sangha. Thank you for sharing that. Now it's time for Murali, all-time favorite cricketer.
Same, Vivian Richards.
Vivian Richards. A batsman that made you nervous.
Sehwag.
Virendra Sehwag.
That's good.
Because he figured you out, is it?
He's an amazing character. He doesn't respect anyone. He just hits.
See ball, hit ball.
Oh, wow. Okay. Your favorite cricket achievement?
96 World Cup.
96 World Cup, without a doubt. Arjuna Ranatunga or Kumar Sangakkara? the captain?
See,
I put you on the spot now.
No, because it's different kind of captains. Arjuna is in an era that he has to do so much from inside, because everything, because look after people, keeping them happy, everything. So it's a different kind of a man, and he will be a very strong personality. You can't say anything. No means no. Yes means yes. That's it. Kumar is very calculative, and he's a wicket keeper, so he understands what he need to do, and he's also been one of the successful captains Sri Lanka had. So you can't, very difficult to compare captains. Mail, Sangha, Sanath, so many captains were there. And a good part is, whoever captain that time, nobody was pulling them to not to captain. Let them captain, let it be. Because these days, if you see, everyone wants to be captain. I can understand that. I never wanted to be a captain.
Yeah, you were once offered.
No, nobody offered.
No, he was offered.
But you said he was offered.
No, he was offered.
We see when we are senior player, we see a younger guy who is good. And say, this is the guy is next.
Yeah.
This is the guy next. You choose. He good.
Okay. Your favorite holiday destination and why?
I like South Africa and Cape Town, because it's something different. The climate is not cold, not hot, and you have everything there.
Beautiful.
Okay. Your favorite movie?
I watch only Tamil movies a lot.
No, it's okay. Go ahead and tell me.
The one that's coming out, I think, is his favorite movie.
No.
Oh.
I like that first part of this Shivaji.
Rajini's movie.
Yeah, that's it.
And there's a movie coming up about you also, no?
It's coming.
Vijay Sethupathi is apparently playing you, and there's going to be a biopic about you. Can you confirm that this is happening?
Yeah, definitely it will happen, because it might next year they start shooting in April.
Okay.
It's 90% done in Sri Lanka.
You are involved with the movie?
No, I'm not.
Not even as a producer, executive producer?
No, because I'm just giving
Consultant.
the rights and everything.
Okay, good actor to play you though. Okay, last two questions for you. Tom and Jerry or Bugs Bunny? Because I know you're a big cartoon lover.
I like both.
Tough to choose, huh? Okay, something you admire in Sangha, my final question.
See, Sangha is different to others, because you see he's very well educated in way, because way he talks, way he thinks, and he can carry our country in a abroad. Not many cricketers can do that, because he has that ability, and also is a very good person. I know him for long time, and not only short time when we played. So before he became an international cricketer, I know him, and I always look upon because him as like a small brother, because always I thought at the times they had difficulties him to coming into. I pushed away and said, this is the guy, one day is going to be a great player, so you should give the opportunity. So I think whatever way we expected in the team, same way he became. And as a person, he's also doing a lot of charities, and so it's a good human being. So when you say you have to be a good human being to be a legend, because legends doesn't become just a nasty person. And seriously, because he has to be a good human being, because then only everything will fall in, because there is karma, and we believe in, so it happens. So always he's been good to me, and whatever way we had in cricketing careers, when we finished, we all in good terms, and we don't have any so like that we have very good friends in thing. But now also, if you see, I would have spoken to Sangha in 1 month's time, they said, but still our friendship is there, because that's the way we have been there. So he's a good, you can take it as simple as he's a good human being.
A very good human being. Okay. Well, we are at the end of the show right now. I want to thank you, Sangha and Murali, because I know both of you have very busy schedules. Trying to get you here was a tough one, but you guys made it. So thank you so much for the effort. You have entertained us, helped us, inspired us, and gave millions of people hope for unity. That's one thing that I learned from you on your speech at the MCC. And you always go to Jaffna and try to bring Tamil people into the cricket scene. So both of you are examples to follow. Thank you so much for coming. So what did you think about this interview? How was it like? Because I don't think both of you do an interview very often, no?
No, we have done.
One was in India. I saw.
See, sometimes we don't have, we see he's busy in different way, I'm busy in sometimes. Because when you were in the cricket team, you should have caught us rather than we are not playing. True. So before I finish, say thank you to you. I thank especially Mr. Rajamahendran. Because when I was young also I look upon him because I know he helped me also a lot of way. It's a private, we can't say it publicly. Yeah. But same way I think one of the person who brought Test cricket to this country, we have to remember him because I know because how difficult it was in 1982-83 and with Honorable late Gamli Sanayaka and him only fought so much, and also I can remember he built the Askiria Stadium also like that. So he is a personality, unknown person. He has done a lot to cricket because not many cricketing fanatics says if you ask Arjuna will tell you because I know how many times I met him when I was in Arjuna with him and he advises us and everything. So thank you for him also. We won't say no to MTV or Sirasa because of him.
And Kumar, how was it for you in this
interview? It was great. Thank you for having us. It was nice to be interviewed and also to catch up with Muraya. And I've also met Mr. Rajamahendran a few times. And one of the first times I was there, and he talked about Asgiria and Trinity and how he and the late Honorable Mr. Gamli Sanayaka spent a lot of time getting that ground built. And some hilarious stories surrounding that. So yeah, a lot to be grateful for.
Thank you, Kumar. Thank you, Murali. I want to end the show with two facts about Sangha and Murali. First one's about Sangha. At a felicitation at his alma mater after he was made captain, he thanked his parents, coaches, teachers, and also the minor staff. The minor staff who helped him during his time at Trinity. And at his felicitation, he was even witness to hug a member of the minor staff. That behavior is nothing short of remarkable, where such minor staff are treated as untouchables. Meanwhile, Murali, your story. Murali narrowly escaped death during the 2004 tsunami by arriving 20 minutes late to Sinigama, where he was about to give away prizes at one of the charity projects. Now, in a situation like that, you would leave and get out of that region as much as possible for safety. But he stayed back, organized 3 convoys of 10 trucks each to assist in the distribution. Not only that, he persuaded those who could donate clothes and also supervise the entire delivery himself. Kumar Sangakkara and Muttiah Muralidharan will not just be remembered as great cricketers, they will also be remembered as great human beings. This is CJ, you've been tuned into the Big Boss Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Legends 966.